This is going to be 2.3, solving multi-step equations. And as a reminder, you guys should have this written somewhere in your book. If not, pause, write this down somewhere, or you can write it again for this section, but let's go ahead and go over this. This is a step-by-step instructions that work every single time for every single equation. Step number 1, simplify both sides. Simplify until you can't simplify anymore on the left, and then do it to the right. Step number 2, combine variables. In other words, move them together. This happens when you have a variable on the left and the right side of the equal sign. At that point, you need to pick a side to move. Step number 3, combine the numbers, move them towards each other, and that will depend on where the variable is. So if the variable is on the left, move those numbers to the right. Step number 4 is solve. Isolate the variable. Your goal is to get the variable alone and positive. And then the last thing you guys should all get in the habit of doing is checking both sides to make sure you are correct. And as a reminder, when I say to move or combine them together, when you're moving to the opposite side, you do the opposite operation. This only applies when you are moving a number or a variable over to the opposite side. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look here. And again, this is a great example of how the book does step-by-step instructions. So if you're ever confused, you can go back and look at it. So it says, for this one, I have 2a minus 6 equals 4. So let's go ahead and go to my steps. Step number 1, combine like terms. 2a and 6 are not like terms. 4 doesn't have anything else on the other side. Move on to step 2. There's only one variable, so I don't need to move it. Step number 3, move everything that is not A. So let me identify A. A is right here. What's around A? What is everything doing to A? That 2, what is the 2 doing to A? It's timesing it. It's getting multiplied by 2. So that means I'm going to have to divide. And what is that 6 doing to A? It's subtracting from A. And that means I need to add. So again, what I like to do is tell my students is look at what's here. What math operations are in the original problem, and that will tell you what math operations you need to do to get rid of it. So just look at a problem. You see a minus, I'm going to have to add. You see multiplication, I'm going to have to divide. And then what you do for these problems is you have to actually go in reverse order of operations. And what I mean by that is we went through order of operations before. And, you had to do parentheses and exponents and multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction last. Because we're going backwards, right? Imagine I send you guys to the office. You go down to the office. To come back, you have to do the opposite direction. Right? You're coming back in all the opposite ways that you left. So it's the same exact idea. If I have a minus 6, yes, in PEMDAS, you do negative 6, you do addition and subtraction last. But in this problem, you do it first. So you don't touch multiplication or division until all the adding and subtracting numbers are gone. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So for negative 6 here, how do I get rid of a negative 6? I add 6. And what you do to the left, you do to the right. Now, because we did not touch that 2a, it stays right here. And then 4 plus 6 on the right side is 10. But am I done? No, because A is not alone with the number 1 in positive. That is a 2 in front of it. And I need to get rid of again, what is it doing? Timesing. How do I get rid of 2 times? We divide. And that's what the directions say here if you ever need to look back at this. We divide. And then 2 divided by 2, that simplifies to 1. Now remember the book, any type of stuff online, answer keys, they'll never have that 1. If you want that there to reference, you absolutely can, but it's not necessary. And then 10 divided by 2 is 5. And then what do we do last? We check our work. Now for these smaller problems, you don't maybe need to write it out, but I think it's great practice because when we get to more difficult problems, you need to know how to do that. And 2 times 5 is indeed 10. All right, let's go ahead and look at this problem here. And this is just them doing what I just did with that. Let's go ahead and look here. Oh. Oops. Go back. All right, so let's go ahead and plug it back in. So I have 2 times 5 minus 6. 2 times 5 is 10, and then 10 minus 6 is, in fact, 4. And so it is correct. Please note, when I went in to check my answer, I did do PEMDAS. I did multiplication first, and then I did the addition, subtraction, so subtraction. But remember, when we're solving for variables, you have to do the reverse in order to decide which ones to solve for. All right, let's look at this problem. Again, before we look at the work, I want you just to look at the problem. What do we see? I see a plus, okay? That means I'm going to have to minus. And I see a divide by, a fraction bar. That means I'm going to have to multiply. Now, the big reason why I like this example immediately followed from an example like this one from the other page is because I know I just said that you have to do PEMDAS, reverse order of operations of PEMDAS, and you're saying, well, didn't you just say I had to get rid of the addition and subtraction first? Yes. However, if you remember from our previous lessons last unit, that when it looks like this and there is an expression at the top, that means there is a grouping on the top, and therefore that is the last thing you do. So in this problem, we're actually going to do the division first. So for this problem, how do I get rid of the division? Well, the opposite of that is multiplication. So I'm going to multiply by -2. Watch your signs, carry the negative over down here. And then -2 times 15 is -30. Now these are gone, and you're left with what's on the numerator, which is now n plus 1. And again, we only did that because you can't undo the division until there's no more expression at the top. And then n plus 1, that 1 is adding, so I'm going to undo this with subtracting. And -30, let's think about this, minus 1. It's not 29. It's not -29. It's -31. Okay. And so n is alone and positive. That lets me know that I'm done. I'm going to go ahead and check that it's correct. Let me go back up to the original problem here. So I have -31 plus 1 over -2. -31 plus 1 is -30, and -30, divided by -2 is in fact positive 15. I am correct. All right, let's take a look at these ones down here. Give the first one a shot and see if you got it. All right, so in this problem, I see addition, so you should have subtracted, and I see multiplication, so you should have divided. Let's go ahead and work that out. My first thing I'm going to do is actually rewrite this over here because I want you guys to see how you would write this out, okay? So step number 1, let's go through our checklist. There's nothing on the left that combines, nothing on the right. I only have one variable to worry about, and it's on the left side, so that means everything needs to move to the right side. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that plus 4 because we get rid of addition and subtraction first. And I'm going to do that with a -4. And if you remember, I like to do the little lines to indicate different steps. And so this is gone, and I'm left still with the 3m, so I carry it down. Notice that it stays on the left. We're not moving things around. 3m is on the left, it stays on the left. Equals goes down with it. And then -11 minus 4 is a -15. Then I have 3 times m. How do we get rid of times? We divide. So I'm going to divide 3. Divide 3. I'm going to put my line of separation here so I know the steps. These cancel out to a 1, positive 1. And so I am now done. This is the last step. M is alone and positive. -15 divided by 3 is -5. So this is my answer. Go ahead and check your work. I'm going to do that really quickly. 3 times -5 plus 4. 3 times -5 is -15 plus 4. -15 plus 4 is -11. I am correct. So m equals -5. All right, let's do this last example right here. Again, this is implied grouping, so that is done last, okay? And so when I take a look at this, I have divide by 7. How do you get rid of division? You multiply. So multiply both sides by 7, okay? So then you're going to have to do 8 times 7, which is 56. So 56. And again, that 8 and 7 is on the left, so it's going to stay on the left. My answer is now on the left. And then over here, what's left is my numerator, so x minus 5, okay? And then let's go ahead and proceed. So I have x minus 5. How do I get rid of minus 5? We add 5. Add 5. And guys, I want you guys to write this out exactly like I'm doing with the steps shown and everything, because I want you to be able to look back on this and review it. And then 56 plus 5, let's think about this. What is 56 plus 5? It's 61. So x equals 61. And we could go ahead and check our work if we need to. 61 minus 5 is 7, or divided by 7. 61 minus 5 is 56. And 56 divided by 7 is, in fact, 8. I am correct. So x is 61.